This section's about legal download in the industry today.
Okay.
A question that was sent to me, Farry Foley says, what are your views on the current most innovative mediums for channeling music, such as Spotify, Grooveshot and Pandora?
I'm not a big fan of Spotify. I'm not a fan of the streaming ones. Because call me old-fashioned, but in the old days you would go out and you'd spend your money and you'd buy a piece of music. The idea of just kind of borrowing something from a library, for me, doesn't feel like you kind of, opted into the full thing. So, I mean, for people with a very passing interest in music, it's all right just to have kind of stuff lying around that you can listen to. But I think music fans like to actually own music, whether it's a download or a physical CD. I think we do like to own music rather than borrow it.
Were you into MySpace?
No.
Not at all. Your one of your pseudonyms, many pseudonyms, the Brighton Port Authority.
Yes.
Which is your Brighton name. You have got a MySpace page for that, but was that a management company?
Any kind of MySpaces with my name on it kind of run as a PR thing. I don't get involved in that.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you about it.
Out of interest, what do you use to mix? Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase?
To mix, I use Serato.
Serato. Is that something you've always used?
No, I used to use records.
Okay.
But I kind of skipped CDs and went straight onto Serato, where you're playing sound files out of a laptop and you're using CDJs to actually mix it. So I'm actually still doing the mixing rather than a computer doing it.
But do you use samples from programs, as in Logic, or do you record everything at your own?
I actually use an old Akai S950 sampler run by an Atari computer, which is what I started with. But it kind of still works for me. I do, yeah, but I'm just kind of learning Ableton at the moment, which is good. I know I can do mashups and edits and things, but to actually do full music production it's kind of, I'm having to relearn computers. So yeah, I use my trusty Atari still.
Do you think that you would be successful today if you released your first album, Better Living Through Chemistry, tomorrow?
Only if there was a kind of dubstep remix of it.
Are you a dubstep fan?
Not especially, no. I must admit, I can't dance to it. And if I
Everyone
can't,
says that. What do you do?
I don't know whether to dance twice as fast or half speed, or go between the two. But if I can't dance to something, if I can't get my hips into it, I can't get my head around it. So I've kind of carried on with my sound.
Do you think you'll work with any dubstep producers with your next music and when you release that?
Not especially. I mean, I've got a lot of mates who make it, and I've just been playing with Rusko and Skrillex and Dooley, and I really rate what they do, but it's kind of not for me. I mean, you can't sort of jump on every bandwagon, and like I said, if I can't dance to it, there's no reason to get involved.
Okay. Next question, next subject could take up a whole hour or days, and it's the legal downloading. Do you advocate or not?
I don't know, with my musician's head on, I don't advocate it, but with a human being's head on, I'd be lying if I said I haven't occasionally downloaded stuff. I don't know, when I was young, they invented a new format called cassette, and everybody absolutely shat a brick thinking, right, everyone's going to tape stuff off the radio, they'll never buy records anymore, and they had this whole home piracy is killing music. And it didn't really make much difference, because people would take things off the radio, but if they really liked a record, they'd still go out and buy it. Now, over the years, you had sort of DAT and CD, recordable CDs, but I think downloads obviously are having a real effect on the revenues that musicians make. So, like I said, as a musician, yes, it is kind of killing certain sides of the music business. But speaking with the punter's head on, if it's there and it's free, you can't slag anybody off for doing it.
Can I just get a gauge from the audience who downloads or file shares? Anybody like to admit it? A few hands going up.
It's on the radio, no one can see it.
So it's probably about half of you. One point is that my nephew's 10 years old. He's of the digital generation, and he doesn't really know what a CD is. Just put a CD in the CD player and press play. It's not something he's used to. What other mediums do you think people should go down rather than digital downloads?
I don't know, there's a sort of resurgence of vinyl at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think people like it because you get all the packaging. You get a big sleeve with the cover art on. One thing you lose with downloads is there's nobody is bothering to do good sleeve designs or like photos. And the whole artwork thing, when you buy in, if you get like the lyrics on the inner sleeve and photos of the band, you feel like you've got part of the package. So I think these kind of sort of collector's edition vinyls or like a CD box set, they're good for the people who really want to get involved. And then, like I said, people just a passing interest that can just get it off Spotify and possibly download it illegally.
Well, thank you for being very honest, everyone in the audience. Lee's been asked on to a question that most artists, or more artists, are making money from live performance. You consider yourself a VJ now. I saw DJ Shadow at the Brighton Dome for Great Escape last year. His production
was a good show,
absolutely phenomenal. The pyrotechnics is superb. Your good friend Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips, they're globally renowned for their production. How important is it to have a production rather than just playing ball music?
I think it's more important for a DJ, because if you're a good rock and roll band, you can just go out there and rock it. But if you're a DJ, you haven't got guitar solos and you can't run from one end of the stage to the other, spraying the crowd with your guitar. So, for a DJ, for us to take shows to the next level and to do bigger and bigger shows and festivals and arenas, we do have to up the game using production, because there's only so much waving around with arms that a DJ can do. So we're lucky that these days there's the technology with LED, and we're looking at holograms and things like that. It's now possible to have a hologram of your guest singer in 3D on the stage with you, and things like that become more affordable. But if you're someone like the Rolling Stones, you just get out there and rock it. You don't need all that production. But people like me and Shadow aren't quite so interesting to look at.
How good was that Shadow performance? He was inside a globe, wasn't he? And then the globe opened up and he's inside with his deck. So how can you mirror that for one of your productions?
Well, I went half to enjoy it and half to think, we're always looking for new ways to do it. It's balancing how much it costs and how portable it is. Because one of the best things about being a DJ is you don't have to take truckloads of equipment with you. You hire all the backline in, and you just need to take your laptop and your CDs. And that's great portability. And I use it by just hiring in as much LED as we can find in that country and building a big screen. But Shadow had built this kind of cube, and he has to chuck that around, which it just makes it 20 times more expensive and slower. You can't literally play it night after night because you've got to drive the equipment. So I prefer the portable thing, but I'm very jealous of shows like that.
Have you already planned your production for the forthcoming tour?
We're in the planning stages at the moment. It's quite exciting because it's a completely blank canvas. Normally, like I said, we're ruled by the shape of the stage. If you're at a festival, it's who's on before you or who's on after you. But and when we did the shows on the beach, we were only allowed to shut the road off for 12 hours, so we only had 12 hours to build the stage, and it had to be weatherproof on the beach. Now we're semi-indoors, and we've got a week to build and tons of room. So we're going to build something really big, but we haven't decided exactly what.
It's exciting. But tickets are available now for your Big Beach Boutique. Go online. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait to get going. We're running slightly behind, so I want to take some questions from the floor.
Okay.
Alexandra Botting, are you here?
Of course not.
Of course not. So what was it like working with the Rizzle Kicks?
With the Rizzle Kicks, it was really good fun. They lived down the road from me and just got in touch, and I don't know, it just seemed the natural that we worked together. Though there was quite a big generation gap. They are proper, whippersnappers of kids, and I did feel a little bit old doing it. But I think some of my experience rubbed off on them, and I think some of their youthful kind of zest rubbed off on me.
Thanks, Alexandra, for that question. Meg Lavender. No?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, wait, have you? Let's go, Michael, Meg. I think we just for the radio to pick up for our listeners live on Burst. If you just speak into that, Meg.
What's the longest amount of time you've been without a shower?
Probably 5 or 10 years. Because I'm a bath man. No, if there's a bath there as well as a shower, I'll always have a bath. So there will probably be hotel rooms that only got a shower.
That's the longest possible answer you could get to that question. Thank you very much, Meg. Anthony Speary. Yes.
What advice would you give to inspiring people?
Always remember your main priority is to make the crowd smile and dance, rather than just to kind of wank off on how many tricks you've got up your sleeve. I think. Sorry. Did I say that? I did. No, I mean when the basic premise of DJing is just to play records and make people dance, and some people get caught up with how much technology they can have, and they sort of rehearse it all in their bedroom. But when you get out and play it, you have to kind of be looking at the crowd and make sure they're actually having fun too, rather than you having fun on your own. And probably the best advice is play really shoddy gigs in wine bars and weddings, because that's when you really cut your teeth and learn how to really communicate with the crowd.
Cool. Thank you, Anthony. Alexander Parry, you here? Yeah. All next to each other, brilliant.
Sporting a fine t-shirt.
I was wondering what festivals you've got planned for the summer.
This summer, not much in England, because we're doing the Amex shows. We kind of want that to be the focal point.
This is your list of tour dates.
Well, these are all in Brazil or Australia, so that's not a lot of help. No, I don't think I'm doing much. I did Glastonbury Festival and Ballmasters last summer, but I think we're trying to keep it rare by just doing them. I mean, how many more do you need? Having 2 nights right on your doorstep. And there's no Glastonbury this year, or else I would be there.
Would you go to the Secret Garden Party Festival? When they've asked you instead of Glastonbury, it was great. You thought about that?
I've not been to that one, so it sounds intriguing.
Apart from Glastonbury, then what would be your British festival of choice?
Festival,
Festival,
I think, yeah.